Hello everyone, my name is Kelvin Balogun. I'm a senior partner with Verraki Partners, a business solutions company for Africa. And here are my top 5 tips on differentiating your business through innovation. Using innovation to differentiate your business is as much a function of approach to innovation as it is the specific innovation ideas that you can use. It's very unlikely for a company to say it has one unique technology that no one else has. So you're going to find that most times what you have, what creates differentiation for you is as much what you do with what everyone else has. The other thing I think is also interesting to say, you can learn about any technology that catches your fancy. You can reach out to partners that you think can help you and so on. So the world literally is your oyster. The bad news is that it's a level playing field. You know, the very things that you can do, so your competition can also do. So at the end of the day, it boils down to who uses the advantages that are commonly available to them to the greatest effect. So my first tip for you is pick an area of innovation and stick with it. You see, the notion that you have to be good in so many areas for your business to be differentiated, I think it's pure fallacy. It's not true. At least it doesn't align with my experience, and I've run a fairly complex organization. You only need to be very good in a particular area. But you have to be intentional about defining what that area is. So you have to pick an area and you have to stick with it. It's important because whatever area you pick, whether it's going to be technology-defined innovation or business model that is uniquely defined, or a product or a service line that uniquely defines you, that you do better than someone else, whatever the area it is that you pick, will require that you invest time to build the capabilities and the competencies that will give you that edge. What makes it even more interesting is that it's not something you do once and you get right and we are done with it. It's a lifetime of aligning and realigning your organization to continually sharpen that area of differentiation. How good you are with it and how well you're able to sharpen this edge over time is a reflection of how you align the organization behind it. Your resource allocation, the kind of people you employ, the kind of processes you design, the kind of culture you have. So the second tip is you don't have to be the first in an area to be the best, or for it to become an area of defining advantage for you. You don't have to be the first there. The conventional wisdom is that, those who get there first, have this, I think we call it the first mover advantage, that is usually unassailable and that protects them for life. I guess that is true in some instances, very few instances, but the vast majority of evidence actually supports the opposite. It is not true. Google, for example, is the 18th search engine firm, to have played in that area. Before Google, we had Yahoo, we had all manner of players, and what you invariably find is that the first few players, what they basically do is do a lot of the upfront research for everyone else. Their failures educate those who come after them. It tells people who are going to play in that field that, what works and what doesn't work. So when Yahoo and the early players in the search engine space came about, their business model was wrong. Google learned that the way they search, I don't have the technical knowledge of what they tried to do that didn't work, but the way they tried to organize the search engine didn't work. Google basically looked at that and said, you know what, I think I now know what works. And that's how it became the leader in that space. So you don't have to be first in that area. You don't have to first to introduce the product in the country. You don't have to be the first to try it out. You don't have to be first to define the service to be the best. But you need to find a unique way of doing that thing that leverages all the learnings that's been built up over time by players ahead of you. And that gives that extra thing, that extra approach that you hopefully bring that no one else can bring. Tip number 3 is never stop changing, never stop learning. There's never an end to learning. There's never an end to changing. What's going to give you an advantage today, that innovation that differentiates you today, is a present continuous event. So your business is constantly evolving. And that's the tip. Sometimes people think, oh, if I'm able to introduce that product, I'll be fine. If I'm able to deploy that technology, I'll be fine. If I'm able to go into this area, I'll be fine. No, it's a continuous event. Change is the only thing that is constant. And why is that so? Because your customers are changing. Even the technologies that you are using, they're changing. This camera, I'm sure if we wait a few months from now, will change. There will be a new one coming. And with these changes, new needs are being defined, new expectations are being created. So you can't say you have an advantage that is defined on the aggregates of the business and its environment or its context today, and therefore you are fine. No, you are always learning. The successful firms are always learning, are always changing. So if you define an area that you want to build an advantage, you have to commit to a lifetime of evolving with that area to keep your edge and to create new areas of edge. And you find it, an example I can give you, it's literally every firm you see that is successful. I mean, when you see firms that we used to hear about and we no longer hear about, what defines them is they stop changing. Xerox used to be the major producer of these copier machines. They were unassailable. In fact, they were so dominant in their field that they started defining the word that people use. And then the technology came along, digital technology that would remove all the old advantages that they had. And they looked at that technology. It was theirs. It came through one of their skunk works. And they said, well, if we allow this technology to see the light of day, it will attack our business. So we have to quell it. Guess what? That technology eventually almost killed their business. So the firms that stay young, the firms that stay relevant, look at Coke. People still talk about Coke as being the producer of that brown drink in a bottle. No. Today it's as much a producer of energy drinks, of juices, it makes a whole lot more money even from those, I dare say, than even what we associate Coke with. So the firms that survive, the firms that thrive, are those that commit not just to starting a journey of innovation, but those that commit to a lifetime of learning and evolving to keep their edge. Tip number 4, collaborate across industry lines. Sometimes we think that, we have to, when we say we are defining new advantage in our industry, that we have to look within the industry to find all the opportunities for innovation that we need. That is not true. What I've found from experience is that the unique insight, that unique opportunity that comes, usually comes because there's an intersection between what is happening in multiple industries, what is happening in the use of technology across different areas, or where technology comes to be the traditional industry. So if you want to find a unique opportunity for innovation, look beyond the existing boundaries of your industry or the existing boundaries of the technology that you're familiar with. Or think about even firms like Kobo 360 who are redefining logistics, the traditional distribution logistics, by bringing technology to bear. So whenever you're thinking about where is my advantage, how do I find that edge, or what area could help me redefine or create a niche for myself, think about creating collaborations widely. Interact with people in other industries, interact with technologies that are not necessarily related to your own industry. Be a student of what's happening on a more broader basis. Tip number 5, focus on the customer. You need to see clear how your innovation is going to create value for the customer. Sometimes we talk so much about innovation, we talk so much about differentiation that we forget that it's a means to an end. It's not in itself important unless it helps to create value for the customer. It's not even there. It's not something you do so that you might make more money. The primary motivation is that it helps to do something for the customer. It helps to solve a problem that the customer has, or it enables the customer to be able to be more successful doing what is important to the customer. So that's the ultimate prism through which we assess the effectiveness of what we do. And I almost think it's the most important tip to you is that all of the things you do, whether they make you feel on the edge, or they make you feel good, they sit well with your vision and all that, they really wouldn't matter at the end of the day if your customers can't say, well, because he did this, I've been able to experience his business model better. Because he did this, I'm happy I have him as a supplier. Because he did this, because he adopted his technology, or because he looked for a new way to serve me, I'll be more successful with my business. So if there's anything you want to take away from this, it's that at the end of the day, it needs to help you be more effective in serving your customer. And by the way, that will help you make more money. Ultimately, when you create value for the customers, you create differentiation. Because who determines differentiation is the customer. They're basically saying that we think this firm is set apart from others. And when they do that, they reward that firm with more business. They reward that firm with better margins. They reward that firm with a more differentiated brand. I hope these 5 tips, if nothing else, help you think differently about how you run your business.